So, welcome to the What Really Matters podcast. So, I think just to start off, tell a story about how we met and what brings us together today. And to me, I think a lot of it is we resonate with the philosophy of life and how we dig deep to discover what really matters about ourselves or those around us.
Yeah, I mean, we got together because we connect. I barely know you, so we met because we played pickleball and we shared the same passion for competition.
Oh yeah.
And after we chill out from the competition, then we start talking about life. And I was very happy to find like-minded people who share my passion for the deeper things in life, not just the superficial. And so we have nice conversations. So we thought, hey, let's just do a podcast.
Yeah. I remember the first time we were talking, you were sharing with me your background on martial arts.
Yes.
And it wasn't just one martial art. It was several. And as you started to speak more, I'm like, holy cow, you have depth in many areas of your life, and you've spent time, like how it showed up for me was like anything that you do it with everything you got until there's nothing left to give.
And everything, I use my martial arts training to help me reach my objectives, such as when we played a tournament. I use my jiu-jitsu knowledge to try to conquer you and Matt.
Yeah.
Matt is Chris's pickleball doubles partner.
Yes. Yeah, so we lost to Terence and his partner Marty this past weekend. It was a tough loss, but I enjoyed that because it taught me a lot about competition and my own internal dialogue, right?
Yeah.
And my anger or things that I deal with. But if you don't mind, I'd love for you to share, like, who are you?
Okay.
And then I'll do the same.
Okay, so I'm Terence Angtuaco. Difficult name to remember, but it's Angtuaco, like I want taco. That's an easy way to remember.
Got it.
So I'm a gastroenterologist. I work at Premier Gastroenterology Associates here in Little Rock. I'm a founding partner, and I'm the president of the company. I'm also an author. I've written 2 books so far, published 2 books so far. My first book is called Divine Intervention. So it's a book that I wrote about my spiritual journey through my daughter's illness in 2012. And that's where my ministry began. And my other book is called Soul to Soul. It's an offshoot of my ministry where I found a platform where I can write things that are meaningful for me that I can share. I am the founder of my own ministry called Luciat Lux Ministry. So Luciat Lux is Latin for shine the light. So the objective of the ministry is to inspire people and to encourage people and shine the light. So I wanted to shine the light for people who are living in darkness. I want to light the path for people who are walking in darkness and need some direction to the right path. And I want to be able to help people see God's light through me in what I do. And as part of the ministry work, I write blogs on my website. I have a website, www.terenceangtuacomd.com. And I have a few amateur podcasts and I post on social media to help encourage people. And I'm writing my 3rd book called Practicing the Habit of Being Happy, 6 Prescriptions for a Happier You.
Nice.
And I play pickleball.
Yep.
I'm actually a tennis player, and that was converted.
How long have you played tennis?
Been playing tennis since 2010. So I used to be a taekwondo guy. I did taekwondo for 13 years. I'm a 4th degree black belt, and then I ventured in other martial arts like jiu-jitsu. I did a little bit of judo, a little bit of Krav Maga, a little bit of boxing.
Wow.
Trying to be the complete fighter. But I'm not proficient in all those. But Taekwondo is my main thing. I'm a 4th degree black belt and was world champion one time, 2010.
Wow. And then so you got into tennis 2010.
After I retired from Taekwondo competition, then I switched to tennis because I saw my kids taking lessons and I realized this is fun. And tennis has changed a lot from from way back, So I started taking lessons and playing tournaments and everything. And then recently I was converted to pickleball. Whereas before I had made some not so nice statements about pickleball, I ended up getting converted to it. And that's how I got to know Kris. So.
Yep.
And so
random Friday night playing in some open play. Man, I've really enjoyed pickleball. That's been I enjoy it because it's at the end of the week for me. And that's the time where I can really just kind of let loose and enjoy the time that I have to, I guess I'll hit the ball as hard as I can. Or
so
practice thinking.
Yeah, so your turn. You tell me more, because I really don't know you that much. So we're just beginning to know each other. So tell me more about yourself.
Yep. So I was born in North Carolina. I grew up here, though. I moved here when I was really young. So I went to school here. I've been a baseball player my whole life. I also played soccer from 6 to 12. And then as I was doing both of those things, I was on like the travel team, so to speak, so the really competitive ones. And my mom was like, dude, you can't be in 2 places at one time. Like, you got to choose one, And so I ended up choosing baseball. I've been played baseball from 6 to about 21. So I played through college. I went to high school here, and then I went to college in Batesville at Lyon College. And I have a degree in math and economics from there. And so I fell in love with economics actually while I was there, and found a lot of joy. I was extremely involved. I had 3 jobs while I was there. Played a lot of ping pong and pool.
That's why you're so good at pickleball.
but baseball was my main jam, and so after college, I came home here, and it was kind of like I don't really know.
Here, Little Rock, right?
And I was like, I don't really know what to do. I wanted to be an actuary, which, they basically determine your insurance rates, whether it's life insurance or car insurance. They have these super complex math equations that predict how life goes. So
these are way over my head.
I spoke to a family friend about that, and they basically said, hey, if you don't want to spend 80 hours in your office with this, you're going to spend more time with these people than you do with your family. And I was like, well, I'm coming from the athletic world where we're moving, I'm out all the time, right? So I end up going with insurance instead. Friend of a friend said that he'd give me a job, but I had to read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, I read that.
Which
one of
started,
my favorite books.
Yeah, so that started
Robert Kiyosaki.
And I have most of his books over there, right?
Yeah.
And that really started my journey to desire to be in real estate. So I didn't really know how to do that yet, but what I did know was I wanted more for my life. So as soon as I read that, I started reading more books, and I read like Think and Grow Rich, and I started to kind of like go from there to now having all these books and stuff that I read. Yeah. And I really enjoy that. So really fell in love with self-development from there, and have been on a journey to do that. So I was traveling, so I switched from insurance to a different job for a software company, traveling around the country. I was doing like 50 trips a year, teaching other people how to use the software. At the same time, I was working in real estate, trying to grow that. Didn't really have much success doing that. So I transitioned a little bit to networking with people. So I would go to networking events all over the country, and I would meet a lot of people. One of the people that I met is a coach that I actively work with now. Another person that I met is a gentleman by the name of Stan Leopard. He introduced me to the business philosophy that I study now. And so those 2 things have really stuck with me since I met those people. And I would say I'd attribute a lot of my success to them. So from the time that I, met Karen and Stan to today, I left my full-time job when COVID happened, right before that.
Yeah.
And then COVID happens, and then I'm not really doing well. I don't really have any money. I'm trying to make things happen. in real estate, and things start to take off in real estate. And so I start to gain a lot of success, a lot of momentum, and I've just been working to carry that and continue that and to grow since then. And so that brings me to kind of like the pickleball stuff, and you know, I know Matt from we went to elementary school together, but also he was my supervisor, and he's a coworker, then a supervisor at the software company. And so you know, that's a little bit about me. I'd say that outside of that, you know, I've really been developing my faith a lot this year, probably more so than ever before, and have been very intentional about that development.
That's good. Great. Yeah, I remembered you invited us to your house, me and my wife, and I saw a lot of your books, and then I realized we have a lot of things in common. I mean, several of the books that you have on your shelves are books that I have and I've read, and so it's hard to find like-minded people, and I always enjoy talking to you because we always have these deep conversations after a hard-fought battle at the pick court.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yesterday, so after the pickleball tournament, how do we talk about this podcast? I was. You showed me. Did you show me a picture of your setup?
Yes,
and then
that's right.
I'm also trying to create my own podcast.
Yes.
Is that how it
That's
happened?
exact. Yep. Yeah. I can't remember what we were talking about, but something came up, and I said, "Oh, hey, I want to show you this."
Oh yeah.
And,
okay, that's
and
right.
So
that's right.
So I showed you this setup.
The setup, right? Yeah.
And then you brought up, and I was like, "Oh, well, let's do that tomorrow."
Yeah. You showed me the setup, and I said, "Wow, you're in podcasts." So I've always been wanting to do a podcast. I've made several attempts. Like I said, I've recorded like three or four very amateur podcasts, just audio. I don't have all these set up, you know.
Yeah.
I just have a small microphone, and I record it on my iPhone. I don't even have the cloud thing, the Dropbox. I don't even have all that fancy stuff. I just recorded my phone, then I upload it to my website.
That's awesome.
But when I found out that you're doing this and you have all the technical know-how, so I said, let's collaborate, you know?
Yeah.
It's more efficient to outsource.
Yeah. Well, and I you know, it's the podcast, and the intention is to talk about things like what really matters.
Yeah.
And part of like what really matters to me is you know, having an impact in the world, and I know that if we want to have an impact on people, we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
And being able to have people in your network that you can say, "Hey, let's do a podcast tomorrow," and then it's like, boom, we're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Like those that may, you know, in the grand scheme of things, be very small, but it's like that is a capability that is uncommon. Like we just don't have that all the time, right? And so I think, you know, that really matters to me, to be able to say, let's do that.
Yeah.
Right. And to be here today doing that.
Yeah. Like yesterday when we were talking, I told you that I've been wanting to create contents for my podcast, which I called it What Really Matters. That's the podcast title. And because I've always felt that life will have no meaning if all we do is go to work, make money, spend money, play, enjoy ourselves, enjoy the money we made, and then repeat. Life will be so meaningless, you know? And so I always I'm a thinker, I'm an introvert, and I'm a thinker, and I like to think about things that really matter in life. So to me, the things that really matter in life are those that are lasting, things that are meaningful, things that last, and things that truly satisfy.
Yes.
Because money will satisfy you for a minute, maybe 2 minutes, maybe an hour, but it really does not last very long. That joy. So if you buy a new car, the joy is there maybe for a month. If it's a nicer car, maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
And afterwards, it feels old and ordinary. and then you go on to your next adventure or look for something again to make you recreate that feeling, that dopamine surge where you feel ecstatic,
Right.
So you're always searching and looking for things because they don't last.
Yeah.
And so the things that really matter are things that are not from this world,
Yeah.
So those are the things that I like to talk about, and those are the things I write about in my books. And so I had nice conversations, and I figured let's do this. Let's do a podcast about that. So.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to share in my own ways, like the things that matter to me, and I'm developing, right? Like I'm how do I say that? I'm working that to because I want to live a life that's intentional.
Yes.
And so to have a story about what really matters to me is important, because if I don't have a story for it, I'm not going to produce what really matters to me anyway. Right?
Yeah.
And so for me, what I've been working is a story about living a good life. And what does living a good life look like? What does that mean? And I think about it like, I want to be someone who is spiritual in nature, but also has a practical know-how to take care of concerns that I have, my family future family, because I don't have family now, but I'd like, to have a family, to be able to take care of those concerns, but also to provide experiences for my family and friends that when they leave any experience with me, they say, wow, that was good. I really like that. There's something about that, I want to create those moments with people, because to me, that the satisfying feeling that we can bring to not only ourselves but others too is where I think we build those moments over time, and that creates a good life. But I think also it's worth mentioning that living a good life to me also means being far from constraints. Like if I'm constantly stressed or worried about, let's say, money or situations, that doesn't feel very satisfying to me, and that also can produce bad moods in everyone else around me, not only in myself. And so I want to have a story about what it means to take care of my family, to have dignity, to have value. And to me, that comes from accumulating knowledge for my entire career and also in retirement, because I don't want to just do that for 1 year. I want to be able to sustain that for my entire life. And so that's why I study things like the business philosophy, or I receive the coaching, or I read books and do these things, because those things are valuable to me. And I have a story about how do I earn money or produce money. But also I have investment strategies for, how do I build for my retirement so that I do have enough by the time I'm 60, and I can retire if I want. If I choose to work, great, So those are some things that matter to me.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a different approach. Obviously, I'm how old are you?
30.
Okay, you don't mind saying that, right?
No.
So I'm 55, about to be 56. So I'm 2.5 decades older than you. So I have a different perspective, obviously.
Yeah.
So the way I look at life and what really matters is I look at how I want to be remembered in death. Okay? So because how we live our lives is better influenced if you live your life knowing how you want to be remembered in death.
Yeah.
We're all going to die, okay? So, people have this discomfort talking about death, but we need to have that comfort. It's when you conquer that fear of death that you can truly live. And if you know how you want to be remembered in death, then it's easier to know how you want to live. In other words, if I were to write a book, if I were to write a fiction, for example, I would have to write the ending first, so I would know how to write the different chapters of the book leading to the ending. So it's the same thing with life. So, for example, I live my life knowing that at my funeral, sounds morbid, but it's not. I want people to come up and speak and talk about me and say, Terence, he always encouraged me. or he always inspired me. I want to be remembered as the person who, when you're down, I'm always there to encourage you. And I want to be remembered as the guy who inspired you. Like, that's why I want to do podcasts like this, is because I want to leave a legacy.
Right.
And the legacy is not an ego thing where I want to be remembered as the best in this, the best in that. I really don't care I don't have to be the smartest guy. I don't have to be the most successful doctor in the world. I don't have to be any of those. I just want to be remembered as the person who cared. And so I want to make a difference in somebody's life. I have no ambitions of changing the whole world. Like I wrote in my book, I said, I just want to change one person at a time, or encourage one person at a time. And if I can make a difference in the life of that one person, then I would have achieved my goal. And I also want to change myself. And I always say, I change myself and the world will follow.
Right? I love that.
I don't have to change the world because I can't change everyone.
Yeah.
And why would I change people? I can't change you because I have no power to change anyone. Yeah. And then change you for what? Change you to be like me? I'm not perfect. I don't want you to be like me. I want to be a better version of me. I don't want you to become like me. I want you to be better than me. But so I just want to change myself, and the world should follow.
Yeah.
By my example. But then, anyway, the thing is, I want to be known as the guy who encouraged, who inspired. And I want to be the one, I want people to come up and say, hey, when nobody believed in me, he believed in me before even anyone believed in me.
Yeah.
I want you to say that at my funeral, when you give a speech, I want you to say, oh, nobody believed in me, but Terence believed in me first. Or nobody cared about me when I was no one, but he cared about me even when I was nobody, you know?
Right.
Or I want to be remembered as the guy who spoke for those who have no voice to speak. That's why even at our workplace, I always speak up for the employees. You know, I mean, as the president of the company, I'm the servant of everybody else. I work for the partners. I look out for their interests. Of course, I have skin in the game, but I look out for the interests of the company and my partners, and I look out for the interests of the employees. And I've always said, I don't care about how much I get paid to be president of the company. I would rather have the power, not the power to command people, but the power to determine the direction of the company. I always want to be the one to speak up for employees who feel unheard. I want to be the one to be empathetic and compassionate towards employees who feel that they don't get recognition. I created the Employee of the Month award. I made sure. So, you know, some people in the administration didn't feel it was very important, but I told them it is very important for me. I don't want that award to be given one day past the month, the beginning of the month, because I feel we need to show the employees that it matters to us to recognize them. And so these are the things that I want to be remembered for. And like on my Facebook cover, the thing that you write what your motto is whatever,
like a bio kind of thing.
Yeah, your bio. So I wrote there, one smile, one kind word, or something like that, makes a difference. Sometimes you walk past somebody and you just smile at them. You don't know the impact of that one smile that may seem unimportant to you, or it seems just natural to you. But that one smile, smiling at a stranger, it could mean life and death for someone.
That's so true.
You know, and then that one kind word. Sometimes people are so down and they feel unimportant, they feel unheard, and you sit down with them and you give them time. It means a lot to some people, you know?
Yeah.
That's what's important to me. I mean, yes, money is important, you know, because we all have to live, we all have to eat, we all have to make a living, we have to support our families. Yes, but that shouldn't be the sole focus of our lives. I feel that making money should be a consequence or a side effect of doing what's right.
Yeah.
Right? So, for example, I'm a doctor. So, yes, I do make good money. I'm not going to deny that. And it's God's blessing, but I have to acknowledge that I did not make that money. It was God's blessing that allowed me to be able to go through medical school, that my parents could afford to send me to college, to medical school, and that God blessed me with the opportunity to get accepted to a internship and residency program. So I did internal medicine residency. So I immigrated from the Philippines. So I'm considered a foreign medical graduate because I went to medical school in the Philippines. So it's very hard to get into the US system. But I was lucky. I sent 220 applications for internship.
Wow.
And I got 2 interviews.
220.
I sent 220 applications.
Wow.
And I got 2 interviews.
Did you send them all at the same time, or was it in batches?
No, I sent them all at the same time to 220 programs in the United States. And I got 2 interviews. So I'm not going to name those places, but I got 2 interviews. And one of those places in Philadelphia said they were going to accept me, that when it's a matching program, so that they have to match you. So I have to write my choices, they write their choices, and they match you. So one of the programs in Philadelphia said that I have the spot, that they will match me, they will put me number 1 on their list or whatever. And the day that the match came out, I opened up the newspaper, because at that time it was all on the newspaper. There's no internet, it's not published on the internet. I opened the newspaper and my name wasn't there. I was devastated. So if I don't get accepted to any program, I'm done.
Right.
I have to wait another year to apply. So luckily, I was able to, I got accepted to a program in New York without really interviewing. So one of the chief residents there know of me and asked me to send my resume and handed it to the director, and they accepted me without an interview.
Wow.
So that wasn't about me. It was all God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep,
I mean,
God's plan.
okay, I mean, there's really nothing that I did to get in. I was rejected already. I sent 220 applications. I was at a disadvantage already because I'm a foreign medical graduate. And then I didn't get matched. So this was a post-match acceptance. So that wasn't about me. I got accepted because of God's grace.
Wow.
Okay. And then I was a internal medicine resident. And so on your second year of residency, you apply for fellowship to be a specialist. So I'm a gastroenterologist. So I'm an internal medicine doctor. Then I applied to be a specialist, which is gastroenterology. So I wanted to be a gastroenterologist. And so I was interviewed, like a career counseling kind of thing, by my program, by the assistant program director. And she interviewed me and she told me in these exact words. So at that time, I wasn't an American citizen. So she said, "Terence, I am so sorry to tell you, America is for the Americans. You will never be a gastroenterologist." Those were her exact words.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you said,
"Let that sink
watch
in."
me.
And no. And I thought to myself, of course, I've taken the first step already. I've done internship. I'm here to fight to the finish. Yes. I am gonna do it. Of course, I didn't tell her that.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me what she believes. It only matters what I believe. And I believe I'm gonna do everything I can. And if it's God's will, I will be a gastroenterologist. So while I was in residency, I was in New York. So fun life, right?
Well, wait. So she says you won't be. Is that like residency is what, or your internship was it 2 years?
Internship is 1 year, and then you do 2 years of residency.
So you were applying then for residency?
No, I was a second year resident. So year 1 is internship. Year 2 and year 3 are residencies.
Got it. So you had
I was a second
both
year
of those.
Right. I'm already secured those 3.
So coming over, you knew you'd be here for at least 3 years.
Right. As a second year resident, I have to apply for fellowship,
Okay.
So that's after the third year. Then I have to apply it to be if I want to become a specialist.
Okay, so you were start the application process
Right.
for the okay.
Exactly.
So that was
Right.
the context of her
Right.
interact. Okay.
Right. Preparing to send applications for the fellowship.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's already enough to enter internship.
Right.
Now, gastroenterology is one of those tough specialties to get into that a lot of foreign medical graduates will struggle to get in because they're very competitive, right? I mean, it's understandable, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously, you have to support the Americans, American graduates. I mean,
Right.
okay.
Right.
So it's understandable, but you know what? But there's opportunity for everyone, and I'm determined to make it.
Yeah. And that's a testament to your character too, I think.
Right. But everything requires hard work. But you can put in all the hard work you can put in, but ultimately it's God who decides if your hard work will pay off.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Because in the Bible verse, I can't quote exact scripture, but it says the builders can
It's sowing the
not like the builders can build the place, but only God can make the whatever. You know?
yes, I know what you're saying.
I just can't memorize verses, but
Yep, I don't hold it either.
But the builder can do whatever you can. In other words, you can, but your effort can amount to without God's grace. So anyway, I worked hard, and I would travel. So like for example, so in New York, we would round in the hospital. And then after we round, we all break up before we do our own individual work. When we say round, we all as a group see patients together, and one of your seniors will be teaching,
Okay.
So after that, we break up, and then we do whatever we need to do and take care of patients. And so most of my friends would go and grab donut and coffee. It's New York City. You just step out to the donut shop everywhere, So people will be having coffee, smoking, eating donuts. And I stay in the break room and I study. I read. Whatever time I have, I read. And then after hours, so I finish work 5 o'clock, I would take the subway and go uptown to Mount Sinai Hospital there and do research with people I've identified who would let me be their Scott monkey, helping them with the research so I can help have some publication so I can make my resume better to compete and get a good position, So eventually, make a long story short, I did research with this guy, Dr. Jerry Siegel, great guy. He's world renowned and he's super nice. And I wrote a few papers with him. I helped in the research and papers, and so he helped me my fellowship because he's world famous. Wow. He just picked up the phone, and I get a spot.
Wow!
So I got accepted in Chicago at Rush University because of his one letter and one phone call. And that's I made it. I got accepted to a gastroenterology program, but I was told I had no chance. But you know what? I was lucky. My point being, it was not on my own doing.
Yeah.
I could not have made Dr. Siegel like me. I could not have made Dr. Siegel pick up the phone on my behalf and help push for me to get accepted.
Right.
That was God's grace. So in other words, there's nothing about us that we can be proud about that it's all of our own doing. I know in our culture in America, we like the dictum of you dream it, you can do it. It's not really true. We have to make allowances for God to move in our lives. I may want it. I may work so hard for it. But if God does not bless me with it or God's grace, I would never have become a gastroenterologist.
Wow. Yeah.
The same thing like I did Taekwondo. If you ask all my friends from high school or college, no one will tell you that Terence Angtuaco is athletic. That will be the last description.
Really?
people probably say I'm a smart guy, intelligent, but nobody would say I'm an athlete. That would be laughable.
Wow.
I was soft, physically soft, and not muscled or whatever. And I can't run. I can't jump. Nobody wants me on their team in basketball. Nobody would want me on their team.
Wow.
And so when I did Taekwondo, so I got my first degree black belt, and then I remembered my master. His name is Ken Reynolds. I mean, he's instrumental in my development as an athlete, because he believed in me more than I believed in myself. So
Yes.
after I got my first degree black belt, he wanted me to engage in competitions and stuff, and to be, to compete. And we had this conversation after class, and I said, of course I thought I was the smarter guy, right? So I'm saying, okay, I'm a doctor, I know more about science. So I said, sir, I said, based on science, research has shown that we are all born with certain abilities, and you can try as hard as you can, but you can only improve up to 40% from your baseline. Those were my exact words to him. Mm-hmm. And you know what he said to me? BS.
Yeah.
He said, I don't believe in what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so he pushed me. He pushed me more than I believed in myself. And I want to be like that to somebody else.
Yes.
Right? Because I couldn't see a future for me in athletics.
Right.
There's no way. I'm not known to be athletic. I actually got involved in Taekwondo because I had a 1-year-old child at that time. My son Tyler was 1 year old, and we went to Toys R Us. We were playing on the Thomas the Train table, and so he was playing with trains, and I was squatting down playing with my child, and I was so stiff I couldn't get up.
What?
And so I said, wow, I'm so out of shape, because, I was sympathetic eating with my wife when she was pregnant. So I gained so much weight. And then I wasn't exercising. I'm not athletic. I wasn't exercising. I had no sports, and I couldn't get up. And so I said, I need to do something. I'm not even plus something. I said, I need to do something. So, and then I've always wanted to do martial arts, but my parents never wanted me to do it because they were afraid I was going to get hurt. So I was just walking outside the Taekwondo school. I just kept walking, looking, peeping at the window, because I was so intimidated. I was looking at these people doing all the stuff, and I was so intimidated. And so this lady, I don't know, these people want to be mentioned by name, but I credit her for that. Her name is Morgan Bean. She was the best person for school, and she saw me walk past that window maybe 10, 15 times.
In the same day, or like?
Oh yeah, probably the same day. I just kept walking back because I kept peeping in, because I was interested, but I was intimidated. And she came out, and she needed to come. And she said,
"Get in here."
She wasn't very nice to me. I mean, she was not nice, but she was partly like, come on, dude, let's come in. Come in. What are you? Just come. Just take some classes. And she pretty much dragged me in.
Wow. But and I think that need that in life sometimes is to have someone like. I think that's part of. In this moment, it happened to do that. But for me in my life, it's always been a coach. When I was in high school, a lot of my physique I attribute, and I was talking about this the other day, I attribute to the coaches that I had, that they were relentless. Like we can only improve 40%. Yeah. It's like I would give everything I had in the first 25 minutes of practice, and we still had over an hour left to practice, and it was very difficult. And so I just got used to that. Oh, this is going to suck. It's just like every day driving to practice, I would ride with guys to baseball practice, and I'm like, I know my coach is going to either have me throw up or get very close to it. Yeah. And then eventually it was like, I don't throw up anymore because but it took him being someone who's like, I'm going to push you to your limits, and then we're going to find out how far you're willing to go. And this is every day. Like I was running a 6-minute mile, working out for an hour, and then running in bleachers for like 20 minutes afterwards.
I'll die.
And it's like, it was insane. But that showed me he believed in me more than I believed in myself, and he was testing me. And I just said, well, my philosophy and my parents instilled this in me was, we don't give up.
Yeah.
It don't matter what it looks like, doesn't matter how good or bad it is, we just don't quit. And so like that's stuck with me. So every time I wanted to quit, especially running the bleachers at the end of practice, I was like, we just don't do that.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's the thing about what really matters is being that coach to somebody else, right?
Yes.
So now I mean, you've experienced it. You've received the grace from someone.
Yeah.
Now it's your turn to do it to somebody else, right? So I think I was it you? I was the Arthur Brooks book Strength to Strength. I know I was telling somebody recently that Arthur Brooks is one of my favorite authors. So he wrote this book Strength to Strength. So what he wrote about is that when you're younger, you do all these things, you're successful. That's the first half of your life. The second half of your life, for example, like athletes, like for example, I can't compete in martial arts anymore, I mean, I have the know-how, but I don't have the physical ability to do that anymore. But you find satisfaction in the second half of your life by teaching other people. That's when coaching comes in, right? So like now I'm on the second half of my life. I enjoy sharing my knowledge with other people. And so that's what matters in life, because you're never going to be happy if all you do is for yourself.
Right.
So I'm part of this group called Teleportation. So this is an international group. So the guy who invited me into the group, he's from Sweden. And I knew him from high school, and I looked up to this guy, and somehow we connected on LinkedIn, and he invited me to join the group. So the purpose of this group is we mentor, so us in the second half of life, we mentor those people in the first half of life. So he paired me with this...
And globally too, right?
Globally, international, yeah. So he with this guy from the Netherlands. And I have no idea culturally what they're like and whatever, but he paired me and I with this guy, and we set up a time on a Saturday morning. We spend 2 hours just chatting like this.
Wow.
I could be recording our conversation, but that's the whole essence of life. It's about after you've received enough, you have to start giving. The thing is, you cannot give what you don't have. Right. So after you fill up your bank, then it's time to give it to other people.
Right.
So I was sharing with this guy. His name is Mitch. I was sharing the other day when he was getting my feedback about the program. I said I'm in that my life now where I have 10 bags of Doritos now. But you know what? I can sit in my living room and watch TV and eat my 10 bags of Doritos that I accumulated over the years. But you know what? At this stage, it's no fun to eat the Doritos all by myself. When you're young, you want to accumulate your Doritos.
Yeah.
And every bag you accumulate, you want to eat it. You want to enjoy, I earned this Dorito. But when you reach my age, it's not about that. It's about, I want to hang out with you, Kris.
Yeah.
Let's share this bag of Dorito that I accumulated. And let's watch this movie together and share this Dorito with you. It's more fun like that for me now.
Yeah.
I don't care because I've had too much Doritos in my life already. It doesn't add level of happiness.
Right. Yes.
I'll be happier if you me with your time and share this bag of Dorito with me. It's on me. Like sometimes I ask you out, I said, okay, let's go have dinner. It's on me. Just so to have a nice conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, I have enough cash. I'll pay for dinner.
Right.
Let's just have fun. Right.
Yeah,
So that's the Dorito concept,
Yeah.
And that's what matters to me. Because at the end of the day, when you're in your deathbed, I keep referring to death, but it's not that I'm morbid, okay?
No, it's good.
But it teaches you how to live.
Yeah, I think something for me is as we go through life, our concerns change.
Oh, yeah. Perspective changes.
And, I was thinking about this the other day with my grandparents because my granddad, he had to have his hip replaced recently this past year in like June maybe. This is this guy's up 5:30, golfing 3 times a week. He works out every single day. Like, he's super active. But I noticed with his hip issue, he was immobile. He was sitting on the couch in pain all day, couldn't get comfortable until he had his hip replaced. And it's interesting because I got to witness him going through how do you cope with your biology breaking down in the story about life, where you had this, he's been retired since 2000, but he had this life of retirement that's like, okay, I'm living this good life. I've, accumulated blah, blah, blah. I'm giving back now. And then it's like all of a sudden he is unable to do anything. So he's now coping with the new situation of, is this going to be how my life is for the rest of my life? Anyway, so I say that to say, as we progress in age, our biology is breaking down and growing closer to death. To me, it's important to continue to evolve the story of living a good life and knowing what really matters to you, like to your point. Yeah. And that's one thing that I really enjoy about you is you have that understanding and you're evolving that as you're aging. And I think it's really cool to witness because, I've played, pickleball with your kids and your wife, and, I've gotten to experience you guys, how you all interact just in those moments. And I love seeing that. I think that's really neat and cool to see how you have evolved in your time. Because, like you tell me some stuff about, when you were in New York and the fun times you had, and you laugh about the things, and it's like, but you're evolving and changing. And I think that it's extremely important to have a story about that, because I find that most people don't.
Yeah. So like you're saying, the age part. So if all your life you're in your physical abilities suddenly get sick, then your life will be meaningless, right?
Yep.
Because all your life you invested your whole self-esteem on your physical abilities, which is going to decay over time.
Yeah.
Right? Some people invest in their looks and they think, oh, I'm the best looking guy in town, and that's their that's their sense of self-worth. That's why they keep doing stuff to their bodies and their face to maintain that feeling good. Mm-hmm. So that's why when I say matters, I want to talk about things that last.
Yeah.
So, okay. So if my source of self-esteem is that I'm a doctor, so what happens when I retire? Then I feel worthless.
Identity crisis.
I feel worthless, right?
Yep. Existential despair.
So if my identity is based on the material things, so if something happens and I lose my wealth, then I feel useless, right? So if my self-worth is based on being healthy and being able to do stuff, travel and everything, and then if I get sick, then I have no purpose in life, right? Mm-hmm. That's why we have to invest in things that last, things that are independent of the natural process of aging, right?
Right.
So that's why I invest. I'm not saying at all I'm perfect. Okay, my wife will tell you I am far from perfect, but you're near perfect because you're close to me, right? but I'm far from perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm not aiming for perfection. I don't want you to remember me as the guy who is always nice, always kind, doesn't curse. I don't want to be remembered like that because I'm not any of that. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I'm a flawed character. But I'm not embarrassed about that either.
Right.
Because it's all my mistakes and all my all the stuff that all my mistakes are what made me who I am today.
Yeah, we have to be respectful to that.
Yeah, I am who I am today because of my past, my mistakes, my successes, my trials, everything, right? So anyway, we have to invest that really matter. So you don't have to say that Terence was the kindest person I've ever known and he's always like this and he's always like that. No. I want you to remember me as the guy who sometimes loses his temper. I want you to know me as the guy who sometimes gets mad at things or says dumb things. But I want you to remember me as the guy who always cared. And the guy who always gives and forgives.
Gives and forgives.
In my book, Soul to Soul, I wrote about that. And the one character of God that we as parents try to emulate is that, like God, a parent or a friend should always give and forgive. Whenever you need something from me, if I can give it, I will give it. The Bible says, if it's within your power to give or help, don't withhold. Right?
Yeah.
So you always give and you always forgive. No matter how bad the offense is.
Yeah.
You have to aim to be able to forgive, because that's one of the things that really matters. Because at the end of the day, when we're in our deathbed, that's why I always refer to death. We need to learn how we want to die in order to know how to live, you know? So on your deathbed, does it matter that I said, okay, does it matter when we played pickleball in the heat of the moment, I said, Kris, come on, you know, why did you do that to me? You know, does that really matter? Or when I did not answer your text, does that really matter? It doesn't matter, right?
Right.
So if I had a slip of the tongue and I was disrespectful to you or hurt your feelings, and you're in your deathbed, does that really matter? No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I think how I listen to that is your focus is on being authentically you, and not holding that back in any situation, because at the end of the day, what really matters is the joy that you feel, and in your deathbed is the satisfaction you have. But in your deathbed, you want to be around those that you love and want to be remembered by the things that
but the things that are value is friendship, and love. So, you know, I know it's always cliche when people say God is love, but the Bible says that, okay?
Yeah.
God is love. So when you feel love, you feel God's presence, don't you?
Oh,
right?
So there's I'm listening to, it's called God's love. And there's a term that they coined in there called agape love.
Yeah.
And that is like that unconditional, always accepting love. And it's difficult to imagine at times, because we live in a society where we're judged or we feel judged, or, you know, behave however they do. But it's natural in the flesh to be critical. But in the spiritual realm, the things that are, you know, that love that God has, that's a spirit that we want to have about us. And anything out of that, like fear, anxiety, worry, these things are all, I say devilish spirits, but they're ways that manipulate you away from the love that God has for you.
Yeah.
And so when we have all these distractions and things in our lives, it's really, these things are pulling us away from the love that God has. So if we can remove those and be closer with God, we can really and I've, in my own ways, have felt that many times in my life. And that was partly why I made faith, my development of my faith this year, one of the last half of this year, a top priority for me, because I've been feeling that, and I'm like, whoa, that's only a God thing there, you know?
Because if the absence of God in your life, successes don't mean anything. I mean, nothing means anything, okay? So like in this book I'm writing now, the Practicing the Habit of Being Happy, so I have this chapter called Looking for God's Fingerprints. So I try to look for God's fingerprints in every moment in my life, in everything that happens to me, or like for example, us ending up doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I see God's fingerprint in this. We were just chatting. We were talking about pickleball.
Yeah.
And we just beat you. We just beat you.
We need to play again.
Yeah. We just beat you. And then suddenly we're talking about collaborating.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about collaborating for a higher purpose, to serve. And I told you this is part of my ministry work. I want to do ministry work to help encourage and inspire people. And so I see God's fingerprints in this. I see you're lost to us as part of God's plan. So I just have to rub
No,
that in.
it's good though. In my own ways, I acknowledge that, because that is true. For me, that exposed some things for me that God was showing me some things, and I'm grateful for it, because, yeah, I mean, I spent some time this weekend reflecting and working through that in a more like, how do I say it? In a constructive way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No. So the thing is, so like back to the deathbed scene, topic. I mean, you've heard about all these conversations by Apple founder. What's his name?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, right? He had all his insights, when he was near death. His perspective changed.
Yeah.
Right? Wealth doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Can't take it with you.
So in the end, what really matters is loving. Loving is all that matters, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about forgiveness, it's love, right?
Yeah.
When you forgive someone who don't deserve it, it's love. It's love for yourself and love for the other person.
Yeah.
Because when I forgive you, I relieve myself of the suffering of hating on you.
Right. Yes.
And then if you're the one receiving the forgiveness, it's undeserved love. I offended you, but you decided to ignore my offense and love me anyway, right?
Yeah.
So that's what really matters, right? So, okay, so what else matters? So if you say, I said earlier on in our discussion that I want to inspire and encourage people. That's love, isn't that? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? When you take into account your own comfort and you think more about the comfort of the other person. Like when I write blogs and I put up stuff on social media content. So I do that on my spare time on the weekend when I could be sleeping and watching Netflix. But it's part of my ministry work. I want to do it.
Wow.
It's sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's love, right? Because I'm thinking about that person. Whenever I write something, I'm thinking about a specific person who's dealing with something. And I'm writing for that person. Okay, so that person may not know what I'm doing for them, but I know what I'm doing for them. And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And so I do that. So my wife would ask me to go to bed and sleep because I don't sleep enough. I sleep, 4 hours a day? And my wife would say, on the weekend, you got to sleep in. But I can't. I have a mission in life. I wake up early on Saturday just to write.
Wow.
Because I have tennis at 10 o'clock. so I have to...
Yeah, you have some constraints.
Full disclosure, I have to play pickleball too. But I wake up early and I sleep late. But so, for example, we're doing this podcast today. I still have work to do.
Yeah, same.
But I'll just stay up till 2 o'clock and do my work. But this is part of my ministry work. This is love.
Yeah.
It's sacrifice. Right? I mean, if I'm doing this for my own ego, then if we fail, I would be devastated. But you know what? Even if no one watches this podcast or listens to this podcast, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, me either.
So I have 2 books published. If nobody buys my book or reads my book, it doesn't matter to me. I've done my part.
Yeah.
I've made a commitment to God that I'm going to serve. And this is how I serve. I use my talent, put my talents to good use. If 5 people read my book, it doesn't matter to me. If one person felt that I've made a difference in their lives, in his or her life, then I've done good. Even if the one person read my book, if it changed their lives, their life, or his or her life, then I've done something good, right?
Yeah.
So that's what really matters.
That's good.
So it doesn't matter if I become $1 million richer. It doesn't matter even if I win another gold medal in pole or beat you again in math. It doesn't matter to me. It's just a game.
Yeah. I'm gonna win next time.
I'm tired of winning, by the way. I'm just kidding.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm with you, and I developing ourselves for the purpose of service and using the talents that God's given us God, it's like after he created man, he put him to work. That was like the first action that we were in as men. And I think that I notice in today, a lot of the focus is on entertainment and not on productivity. And so we've lost a lot of our way because we're focused on entertaining people rather than producing something of value to others. And so, or maybe that's practically useful. And so, to me, the most fundamental development we could be in is our narratives, is our language that we use, right? And that's where the writing comes in, speaking. These things are extremely important, and using those gifts because words mean something. They impact people. Just as a smile when you're passing by a stranger, words can harm others. And so when we can use our language in a way that's powerful and in a way that God intends for us to, I really see that brings satisfaction and fulfillment and can contribute to what really matters. From like of I'm unique, you're unique. My narratives may be different from your narratives because we live different lives.
Yeah.
But the value in that is that we express that and share that.
Yeah. So, in that regards, so everything we do matters, right? Every word you speak matters because the effect of anything you say can go a long way. Like that person who told me that I will never be a gastroenterologist, it hurt.
Yeah.
But I don't use that to sulk and to have self-pity. I use that to drive me. So when I was in high school, my English teachers told me that I have no talent to write. You know what? When I was in college, she invited me to give a speech to the middle school people who were graduating.
Wow.
And she published my speech. Okay, I couldn't write, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm an author. But but it doesn't matter. But we have to be careful with the words we speak, because you can damage someone with just one word. Words are very powerful. You can hurt someone or you can lift up someone.
Right.
So we have to be very careful. Like we talked about pickleball. Let's go back to pickleball, right? Like this weekend when we played, I told you we practiced Friday, right? We did our practice matches Friday.
Yep.
You think I was just playing? I wasn't just playing with you guys.
Right.
I was strategizing.
Yes. Yeah.
Every move has a purpose because it's tournament time.
Right.
Every move has a purpose, right? We were in that finals match and you said, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That was part of my move.
Yeah. We'll start and I'm walking to go on the other side of the court and I'm like, Terrence doesn't seem okay. I'm checking in.
Yeah, because you're being nice and I wasn't.
Yeah. You were like, "Oh, sorry, I'm in kill mode."
I didn't say that to you, but I was pretty much.
Yeah. You were locked in.
I was communicating that to you.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not friends right now. Okay.
Right. And I was like, "Hey, cool," because I want to win. I respect that. That's competition.
Yeah. It's spirited, but
yeah.
But so remember I had you read that chapter I was writing about. I forgot what the title of that subchapter was, but I was talking about apathy.
Yes.
Right. So sometimes people have. I was writing about contentment. Okay. So people struggle with understanding how it is to be content and how it is to be apathetic. Right. Being content doesn't mean you just sit there and do nothing with your life, right? That's apathy.
Yes.
Right? So how I defined true contentment is you've done your best, you've given it your all, and you accept whatever outcome that results from that.
Yeah.
Right? To just sit around and say, "I'm content. I'm not going to work hard anymore. I'm not going to strive to succeed in business or in school." That's apathy. True contentment is when you use all your God-given talents to the maximum point of your ability, and then you have the fortitude to say, "I've done my best. I'm happy with what I've done." Right?
Right.
Because no one should or has the right to expect from you more than your best. Neither should you as a person expect more from yourself than your best. So your best today can be this level, and then your best tomorrow will be at a higher level, right? Like Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better, right?
Yeah.
So right now, if this is my best, I'm content that I've done up to the best of my abilities.
Right.
And then because I progressed in life and I'm better now, so next year my best will be a step up. So I have to work to this level to be content, because contentment is to be content that you've done your best. If not, it's apathy, it's laziness.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely can appreciate that. It's a good distinction to make to notice that, like, was I apathetic here? Was I like fully get my all?
Right.
And I find even in like, let's just take the pickleball, for example, you know, like, I think I gave it my best there, those moments. Right. You know, I wasn't apathetic there, but there may be times where I may be like lazy. Like how that showed up for me in pickleball is like, I don't move my feet.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, I don't get to those balls. And then next thing you know, you guys are exploiting that as a weakness.
Yeah.
And that's just me being like, we've lost the game already. So why continue?
Right. So that's why that's why teaches you a lot, right?
Yeah.
So even if you're losing, remember I always tell you, like in one of our first matches, we were down
like
14
to 6. Yeah, 5.
The first to reach wins.
Yeah.
We were down 14-5. We fought till we got to 14 all, and we eventually lost. But you know what? We did our best. But we lost. But you know what? We did our best.
Yeah.
I was not warmed up at that time, but that was the best I could give. But I gave my best, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not about winning or losing. It's just about giving your best, you know. And same thing in life, you know. You just give your best, you know. Same thing like as a person, you know. I try to be a better person.
Okay, so in summation, how would you say what really matters?
Great question. Great way to end this episode. So for me, like I said earlier, what really matters is loving, right? In the end, so you have that book, Return to Love.
Yes.
Marian something, the author. So that book, great book, and it resonates with me because I believe that in the end, what really matters is love, right? I mean, I'm not talking about romantic love or whatever, but loving people, right? So God is love. If we want to be like God, then we have to love, right? Like philosophy, God is love. We want to be like God, and therefore we have to love to be like God, right? So in the end, that's really what matters. You forgive even when people don't deserve it.
Yeah.
You will give even if people take advantage of you. Of course, you don't want to be a mat for people to step on. You have to be smart about it. As long as you protect yourself to a decent degree, you should forgive and give even if you know other people are taking advantage of you. I've had many recent experiences about that where I've helped people who I know are just taking advantage of me. But I just make sure that I let them know that I know that they're just taking advantage of me. But I also make it clear that even if I know, I'm still going to help you.
Right.
I'm not perfect like that, but I strive to be like that. You know?
Yeah.
There are some people who I always give and give and give, and they don't give anything back. It's okay. For as long as I can give, I will give. But there'll come a point where I'm not able to give.
Right.
But I will still give to the point that I cannot give anymore. But even if I do, I will make sure that the person knows that I know that you're trying to make a fool of me. But I just decided to help you anyway. So in the end, what really matters is loving.
Yeah.
When you forgive people who don't deserve it, because we also have been forgiven when we don't deserve it. I used to be very arrogant in the sense that I feel that I strive my best to always do the right thing. And I almost feel that I'm perfect. So I'm very intolerant of other people's imperfection until that one time when I really messed up and the person just forgave me. And I realized, why did he do that? And that was like a turning point in my life when I suddenly felt I was forgiven even when I didn't deserve it. Like for example, I would say, I'm very thoughtful. I always remember your birthday. I always take care of you when you need me. And so if somebody does not do the same, then I feel, oh, these people are not sincere. Then I write them off. Until one time, there was one person, I was the one who was not sincere. And they treated me like I was.
Wow.
It's very humbling.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what really matters. When you, to sum up everything, it's about loving. Like you said, agape love, unconditional love, right? That's what we need to strive for, right? When you give just because it's the right thing to do. You know, like recently, I had to deal with certain people who I would feel have done me wrong or didn't treat me right. And I happened to chance upon a Facebook post and I realized they needed some help. And I said to myself, I'm going to help, even though I'm still hurting from feeling slighted. But then I reached out and I did not reach out to the person directly, but I reached out to their family member and say, I'm going to help, but I just don't want to be thanked.
Yeah.
I don't want... First, I was going to try to send what I sent anonymously, but then there was no way to send it anonymously because I had stuff shipped to their place, so my address would be there and everything. So, but I just said, I just don't want to be thanked, or I don't want to be...
It's like a gift.
I don't want to be publicized. In other words, I was telling the family member not to let my ex-friend know that I helped.
Right.
But anyway, it turned out that they didn't get what I was trying to say, and because the answer to me was, oh, we won't let anybody know. But what I did not want to know is my ex-friend knowing that it was me.
Yeah.
I'm just labeling ex-friend for discussion purposes.
Sure,
okay,
sure.
I never write anybody off. Okay, but I'm just for discussion purposes. But then anyway, but despite the failure of my hiding my identity, they know it was me. They never thanked me anyway. So I got what I wished for.
Yeah.
But I'm happy because I don't want to be thanked. I don't want people to think I'm buying their friendship. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want to help you just because I want to help you. So, but anyway,
the
point is agape love, probably. That's really what matters. That's what we all have to strive for. And we all benefit from that. Although we don't want to get rewarded for that. We don't want to get rewarded like a transactional love, where I do something for you, you thank me, and you do something back for me.
Like you're waiting for a reciprocal.
Right. It's not that. But in the end, we all benefit from loving. You know what?
Yeah.
Because what I get back is peace.
Yes.
And true happiness.
Yes. Patience, joy.
So now that I did not get thanked, I'm happy because I take pride in the fact that I did something because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, going back to what you said earlier.
If that person had thanked me, then, I got something back, This one, is my badge of honor. The wound is my badge of honor. That I was able to do something for someone because it was the right thing to do, even though I was slighted in the past, I was disrespected in the past, and still continue to be disrespected by not even receiving a thank you.
Wow. Yeah.
That's my badge of honor. So anyway, the bottom line is what really matters to me is love. If I were to sum it up in one word, it's love.
I think for me, I accept that. I think it's love. What I'm working on is becoming. It's like the idea of becoming someone who is all loving in all circumstances all the time. And, I have a lot of work to do in a good way. And it takes going through those moments and situations and breakdowns and breakthroughs. Things happen, good things, for me to develop that agape love. And it's, for me, the becoming part is just being consistent and dedicated to love being the top priority. So, like, for an example, earlier I was out looking at a house, and on my way there, someone cut me off. And I'm like, cool, man. They're probably going through something, no problem, right? Whatever the situation is, no worries. It didn't even faze me. Now, if you asked me that 6 years ago, we'd have a serious problem. Yeah. I'd have been passive aggressive. Am I driving with them? The whole thing. The becoming part, I think, is so valuable, but the becoming to developing so that you are always love to other people. That I think sums up very well my spiritual journey here recently. Is I'm learning that, boy, I need to confess and repent for my sins all the time, and God just continues to show me love every day.
I like that becoming thing. I was listening to an Indian philosopher recently, and he talked about the same concept about becoming, and that is so true, because it's for example, when we pursue wisdom, once you say I've found wisdom, you just show that you don't have it. Yeah. Because you will never have full wisdom.
Right.
It's the same thing as far as wisdom is concerned. We just want to be wiser than we were yesterday. You cannot be completely enlightened.
Yeah.
You try to enlighten yourself, but once you think you're fully enlightened, you're not. Because you're enlightened that you're not enlightened, right?
Exactly.
And the same thing with happiness.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as pursuit of happiness, because you're never truly happy. You can only strive to be happier. Because there's no such thing. What is the bar that says I've reached the pinnacle of happiness, right?
Yeah, it's all subjective.
There's no such thing. The pursuit here is the pursuit to be wiser, the pursuit to be happier, the pursuit of becoming, right?
Yes.
So I've stressed so many times, and all the people who know me would say, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. But you know what? I take pride in the fact that I strive harder than a lot of people I know. I strive so hard to be a better person. I'm far from it, but I strive hard. I spend so much time pondering, reflecting, meditating, all with the purpose of trying to be or becoming kinder, becoming gentler, becoming wiser, become more loving, become more forgiving. It's the striving. The same thing with sports.
Yeah.
It's not about winning the match or losing the match. If we play pickleball, for example, since that's our common thing here, only one team can win. It's either you win or I win, right? We can't both win all the time. But in essence, I can win all the time if winning for me is achieving specific goals. For example, I can lose with grace, and that's winning for me. Or I can play as hard as I can, no matter how down I am on the scoreboard or how tired I am. If I am able to maintain my intensity and my drive to win, regardless of the score, I won. And I also like to say, I mean, this is not my original idea, but I've read this somewhere, and I embrace this thought that I don't ever lose in life. I never fail. I either win or I learn.
Yeah.
I never fail. Because, all the most valuable lessons I've learned are those I learned when I lost. I told you about that taekwondo match that I lost badly, that destroyed me. Did I tell you that when I was?
I think so. I
I was in this 40 to 49-year-old division. I was 40 years old, so I was cocky young guy thinking I'm gonna beat up all these oldies, and I got beat bad. And that guy just waited for me to be cocky and kick and jump, and what goes up will come down, and every time I drop my leg, he hits me.
Wow.
I was out in like 2 minutes.
Wow.
I never forget that lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, these are lessons that I hold dear to this day, Like one time in one of my taekwondo tournaments, I met my grandmaster inside the airplane by chance. We sat beside each other. And while we were waiting to board, he asked me, "So how did you do?" I said, "I lost horribly. I was so depressed." And my wife never wanted to travel with me just to watch me because we have small kids. I would travel after work, and on the weekends to compete, I go to different states. And I was flying back home, and I was so depressed and nobody to talk to and nobody to cry on and get pity from. And so I met my grandmaster, and he said, "So how did you do?" And I said, "Well, I didn't kick fast enough. I didn't punch fast enough. It's all about I didn't do this enough. I didn't do that enough." So that my wise grandmaster told me, "You have not mentioned a thing about your opponent. That's the problem.
Wow.
That's how you lost. You were focused on your weapon." He said, "When you're hunting, you should focus on your target, not on your gun or your rifle."
Interesting.
So I was too focused on my rifle that I missed my target.
Wow.
I never forget that lesson. It was a
Really
bad
good.
loss. I was so depressed. If I could only cry inside the plane by myself, I would cry.
Sorry.
But that lesson was so valuable.
Yeah.
So same thing with pickleball.
Right.
Remember we were talking about your loss to us? I just had to keep bringing that up.
No.
I was talking about your loss to us. The same thing. Instead of focusing on eliminating us, if you're focused on feeling bad and feeling angry that you couldn't get certain balls the way you wanted, then you lose focus on us, the opponent.
Right.
You should be focused at the target, which is us, not yourselves.
That's really good. And in that context, I definitely noticed that there was a lot more emphasis on the shots that I hit rather than analyzing and
what we were doing.
What you were doing.
While I was analyzing what you guys were doing,
Right.
you were analyzing what you were doing.
And I noticed very quickly, I was like, okay, they're isolating Matt.
We're not going to mention Matt.
Yeah, so that's where I went, was like, well, I need to, I was thinking I should probably call a timeout. That's really where I went. And I asked him, I was like, hey, they're isolating you. I think we need to call a timeout here. He's like, no, we're good. I got this. And, well, that's where so in reflection of that, I was like, okay, if we don't call a timeout, then what? Well, the then what for me was, okay, then it sounds like I need to pick up my game. I need to hit more winners, or I need to score points when we have that opportunity, because I'm not getting the ball much.
Yeah.
Which then took me out and saying, okay, I need to try to hit a slam here or a winner here, and it's not a winning situation. I need to set up for that. But I was trying to, so, there's much to learn there. And to your point, we were focused on ourselves and not considering you guys.
And on that same point, so this is in one of the chapters of my book, Soul to Soul. So I wrote about the tennis analogy. So the point is, you can only control yourself, right? You cannot control your partner, or you cannot control how your opponent's going to play.
Right.
So I talked about tennis, doubles in tennis. When I play doubles matches in tennis, I always say, I just need to focus on my game. I have to focus on what I can do and what I can do right to help us win. It's none of my business to control how my opponent's going to play, because I cannot control my opponent. I cannot control my partner, right? I cannot tell my partner how to play. I cannot tell my partner how to think. So if I'm so distracted by thinking how my partner should be playing or how my partner should be thinking, then my game will get messed up because I'm focusing on his game rather than focusing on my game as to what I can do, right? Or if I'm too focused on how I think my opponent or how I wish my opponent would play, then my focus is on how I wish they're gonna play instead of focusing on how I should play. Then I end up losing because my focus is not in the moment.
Yeah, that the present moment that's like what I realized in reflection of our match was, when you're not present, the telltale sign is looking up when you hit, right?
Exactly, because you're not looking at the ball, right?
And it's like, process starts like this: watch ball hit paddle, then we go find where the ball went, and then we react from there. But until you watch the ball hit the paddle.
Right. You're going to miss the ball.
Yeah, like you don't have anything.
Right.
That is the action, right? And so, that's really good. Yeah, I like the patience and focus also too of like, what were you guys doing? What are your capabilities? Like, what do I notice about, okay, they may be weak here or weak there, and I'm going to hit more shots.
Or where am I standing? Where is your opponent standing? Where is the open spot? So if you're too focused on yourself, then you miss.
You don't even have. It's not even a thought,
right? Because pickleball is so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to tennis, pickleball is so fast. You literally don't have time to even lose focus for a millisecond.
Yeah.
I mean, if we play at our level where it's fast and hard, you really have no time to even glance to the side. So
true.
See, so that's what life is about.
It's good. All right. Well, let's conclude here.
So we had enjoyed it. This was a great first episode. Yeah. I enjoyed it, and I hope we can do more of this and
keep it going.
If we put our minds to it. All right. Thank you, man.